It's been like 3 weeks since I did a backlog update, and unfortunately it's not because I've been gaming too hard, just some life things got in the way, and I've not had much time to actually sit down and beat stuff like I hoped. Not to say I've been completely unable to game this whole time though. I'm making steady progress in Xenoblade Chronicles, where I'm now further than I ever got when I played the original Wii version. I've also been slowly getting through Fire Emblem Mystery of the Emblem on Super Nintendo, which is a cool remake of the first NES game, but holy shit, that thing is hard. There's also a sequel game that comes packaged with the same cart, so I'm looking forward to playing that, since it's one of the few Fire Emblems I've not played. I would like to quickly get some negativity out of the way, and that's with Yooka Laylee. I mentioned in a previous video that I wasn't having fun with it, but it just seems to get worse and worse the more I play it. It's not bad per se, but it's just completely sterile and soulless. It's like playing white noise. It's completely unengaging, and playing it for anything longer than 20 minutes is just pure suffering. I know the game is developed by a bunch of ex-Rare employees, but it's like those guys only took the technical knowledge of how to make a collectathon type game, and then just left all their heart and soul at the front door. The levels are just so boring and not fun to explore, and all the characters feel like they're AI generated or something, even though this game was released way before that can of worms got opened. Banjo-Kazooie and its characters were cool and memorable and fun, you know, a silly bear and a straight man bird pal. They had some kind of personality, but this game is about a lizard with no personality at all and a sassy bat? I think it's going to take me a fair while to eventually beat this thing, just because playing it leaves me so bored that I might drop into a coma from which I will never awake. More positively though, I did finally beat Death's Door. Really enjoyed that one, really liked the music and the visual style, and the highlight was a boss fight that you do in an endless white void, no spoilers. I didn't get 100% though, and I noticed there was like a shimmering key in one of the final cutscenes that was dropped on the floor, so I'm assuming there's some post-game stuff for me to do. We'll absolutely come back to this one day for a 100% run, and it's worth picking up if you haven't played it. Another highlight game that I played on stream this time was Streets of Rage 4, and I was not expecting to like it nearly as much as I did, but holy shit, that game is fun. I played the game on hard mode and had a fairly easy time of it, and was kind of surprised at just how many healing items there are throughout each stage, but after I finished my first run, I selected arcade mode, jacked it all the way up to Maniac Plus, and then suddenly everything made sense. At its highest levels, Streets of Rage 4 is not fucking around, and one day, either on stream or just for fun offline, I will buckle down and learn how to beat that. Also, being able to unlock the old Mega Drive sprites just by clearing stages is a very cool feature. I got a big nostalgia boner when I pressed the special button as one of those guys and it summoned the missile car, like in Streets 1. There's a ton of fan service for, you know, old fans of the series, and the game is essentially one big piece of fan wank, but it's some of the most fun and well-made fan wank that I've ever played. Also on stream, I finished Katana Zero and really enjoyed that too. Gameplay-wise, it's very similar to Hotline Miami, but just from the side instead of top-down. You aren't really finding weapons around the map like in that game, and there's a little bit of higher emphasis on stealth. There's also a slowdown mechanic to help you do things like deflect bullets, and when you finish a stage, you get given a replay that's done at normal speed, which is cool to watch if you felt like you did something particularly stylish that round. What makes the game really stand out though is the story, which I won't spoil, but I always can appreciate a game that can marry gameplay and plot in that way. Also, the soundtrack fucking slaps. I've been listening to it on repeat at work for like a week now. It's maybe a little short for its price point, but it's such an interesting experience that it's worth grabbing anyway, and if you're into speedrunning or anything like that, it's got some really cool options for that kind of thing once you beat it, so, you know, I might even speedrun it myself at some point. After that, I played a bunch of free-to-play stuff from Steam, such as The Pulse of Evil, which is a simple top-down horror thing with a neat inventory system pulled straight from something like Ultima 7. It's less obtuse though. I also got a kick out the fact that when you die in that game, you get given a different character, and you gotta go locate the corpse to get all the guns and ammo that they dropped. Sort of a nice touch, but I can't help but wonder why, if there is a team of dudes outside of this evil cave, why they don't just go in as like little squads rather than one by one, but whatever, it's a very minor nitpick, go check it out. Following that, I played something called the Lancaster Leak O'Brien State Park, which seemed kind of interesting on the store page, but turned out to be a bunch of boring bullshit. You walk around a forest for a bit, where basically nothing happens, and then there's some jump scares, and then it's over. It's a complete waste of time, and I didn't like it one bit. I don't really have anything more to say. After that, though, I played something called Frost Runner, which was cool. No pun intended. One thing it reminded me of greatly was Neon White, which was probably my favorite game of last year. But Frost Runner didn't have a cool story with Steve Blum on a voice role and interesting gunplay mechanics that could also affect your movement. But what Frostpunk does have is a price point of $0. So if you like precision platformers with an emphasis on going fast, and you also have no money, then definitely check it out. Then I did a kind of art game double bill. Both of these games are free, by the way. They're called How Fish is Made and Perfect Vermin. How Fish is Made was an interesting little game about a fish flopping its way through a giant half-machine, half-organic structure where you're constantly being asked if you want to go up or down with basically no idea of what those choices ultimately mean. It's extremely short and only really worth playing twice, but it's the kind of thing you might get a kick out of if you're willing to sit down and think about its deeper meaning a little bit once it's done. Perfect Vermin was a game where you smash up an office. At least that's what it's like at first, and then it kind of takes a weird turn and becomes a painfully obvious allegory. That's not to say it's bad at all. Its presentation is particularly striking, but it was a little on the nose, I think. It's certainly worth checking out, though, which is why I'm trying to describe it in such a way that won't spoil it for people who maybe have never heard of it. Anyway, that's it for me this time. Go check out those free games, and while you're doing that, I will go and desperately try and finish that fucking boring Yooka Laylee thing. Jesus Christ, please help.